More
We're 2
specifically,
minutes in.
we're
What?
just right into the game. You know what? Nothing's happened. There's been no action, so I guess we're cool with this. We're rolling with the punches here.
All right. Well, that wasn't. Also, we have edev vit and edev.
Pog.
Okay, I think there must be something wrong with some of the accounts today because they're going on to backups. But we're just going
Yeah,
to ignore that. It doesn't matter.
yes. Just make sure, look at the top team. That's the team that they're playing for. That's all that you have to worry about. Don't worry about the edev thing. That simply doesn't matter. We're just on weird accounts today. Instead, we'll talk more about these compositions because on one side, I really don't like what Luxury put together, except for Coded, who had a great game one. And I love that Huber's back on Renata because I think Huber had probably the second best Renata after Zhuhao over the course of the entirety of the split. And so I'm excited that they've got that ready and raring to go here for us.
Yeah, it is super exciting. This Fiora pick, I think, is extremely bold. The standard counter pick I've seen into these Nocturne dive comps is actually the Mordekaiser, because you just ult whoever goes in first, and then at least it's only a 1v1 in the Death Realm. But, of course, Mordekaiser's pretty bad at the moment.
Oh.
But Coded, lit on fire. The riposte will keep him alive on literally about 12 HP there. My word, that's not how Fiora is meant to go.
No, especially like if you're gonna take this as a counter pick and you're gonna take this into Poss as Camille, then like you gotta have a good game, right? Like you can't sit here and like expect yourself to do better than that. So not a great start, but again, it's just the laning phase. Coded's gonna be able to DP back. It's not gonna make that big of a difference. But if it's indicative of things to come, I don't like that that's the case because again, this feels like it's got to be the linchpin for the composition here. They don't have a bunch of tankiness innately inside of the rest of their comp. There's a lot of dive that can come through as well. So Coded feels like he has to be a point of pressure for this Luxury squad.
Yeah, I 100% agree. He did save his flash while Poss did use the Ignite, so potentially has the advantage right now in terms of combat summoners. As Poss trading back and forth, good job there by Coded, got several vital procs, so showing that that earlier situation was just Ignite advantage.
That's true. But now the TP can come through from Poss as a bit of advantage as well. So the first itemization, and it's a Sheen back on the first one, which means that Poss is in a great position to punish this even further. Coded is in a rough place because it's 60, 70% health right now. So that's a tough place to be at the moment. Now, bottom lane's been back and forth a little bit. We've seen this back and forth between CBL and then Putin and Hugh. Thankfully, it looks like the Aphelios and the Rakan are kind of recapturing a bit of control inside the laning phase.
Yeah, and as you see, Coded immediately has been taken down lower as well. Poss doesn't want to overextend, no need to play anything risky. Does have Nocturne on his side of the map, of course not level 6 quite yet. That would be insane.
Oh my goodness.
But, Coded, you've got to be so careful of stepping up. Now with Fook here, I think he's in a lot of trouble. Will have access to the Spell Shield and the Flash, but now, in they go. The riposte is used, but he doesn't land the stun. Under the tower, the Fear will proc. Nocturne cuts him down.
Okay.
And Fook will live.
Yep. Not giving a kill over to the Fiora. See, so if the Camille gets the kill, I'm okay whether they trade one for Fiora or not. I don't think that matters. But because Nocturne gets the kill, I was really worried because if you trade one back, all of a sudden the Fiora feels fine in the laning phase. But because they don't, everything's all kosher in the ocean, which is quite nice. I was a little curious why Poss didn't just take that on his own.
Very much not kosher. We're not allowed to eat shellfish. But anyway, let's have a look at this replay as Yado gets caught.
What happened here? Okay, yeah, it's just Yado being stuck in the gravity field, not much to accomplish. It's a response to the topside play that came through because it's just pressure that gets put on that's unresponded to from Killer Queen, which is nice because when they had success, especially inside of the Winter Split, I feel like a lot of it was Killer Queen and Blazes being able to link up during the course of games, something we haven't seen as much, especially last game. They felt very disconnected, so happy to see they're going back to it. And Coded.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to come down to a riposte. Yado, that card is the wrong color, but there we saw. Tim pointed it out. You can riposte the Hex Deck Ultimatum, but it doesn't matter when the damage comes through regardless. And there's a biff in the bottom lane. Will not go anywhere, but this is certainly an action-packed early game.
It really is. And I like that, again, Cerberus have actually identified the fact that right now, Coded's one of the most important members of this Luxury squad. They kind of have the ability to match everywhere else on the map, especially in the mid-game when the Nocturne is going, when the Twisted Fate is going. You have so many ways to attack and aggress that it just makes a lot of sense to make sure that the one really heavy scaling piece is going to get taken out. Oh, bottom lane.
Yeah, under the tower they go. No takedown to reset that bailout. Now Huber, he is going to get tickled by something, and Dai Tries to turn around onto Blazes. It's a bold play, but it doesn't work out. Double kill for a Victor.
I think that the flash Q didn't end up working out right there because I thought he was going to try to flash handshake at the end of that play. We're going to see the top side play once again, but again, that little play on the bottom side, really good. They've been able to get Blazes a lot more active in this game despite being on a Victor pick, which is something he was playing even before it was meta. So again, it's comfort for Blazes, which is working greatly for them because again, he's on 3 kills. He's got the upgraded E. He's got a lot more lane pressure into the Twisted Fate than what you'd normally have, which is a gorgeous beginning of the game for Luxury, who are responding to the fact that obviously, again, Cerberus has come out with a game plan to attack the top lane just as much as possible to make sure Coded is not accomplishing anything.
And it's good to see Killer Queen bouncing back. Last game was extremely rough for him on that Viego. But early in the game so far, he's been having a much more positive impact for his team on the Lee Sin. Perhaps the secret was just he needed to be E-Dev.
Maybe that is the case, yeah. Maybe the luxury tag is a little bit of a curse for him.
Maybe. But let's hope they don't start seeing it as a team, because that might put Poss in a very compromising position. As Coded, aggressing forward. Good job there by Poss to get away. Had to respect the grand challenge.
Let's also hope that the EDEV thing doesn't consist into playoffs too. Let's hope that they're able to figure out the account situation so we don't have to worry about getting new players into new places. I know notoriously VCS has been bad about drafting. I know you love to tell stories about that previously, and so hopefully this is a one-time occurrence and not something that consistently happens for the remainder of the split. Go top lane.
Oh, Poss fighting back. There is a Nocturne ultimate that can come in, but can he get the trade in time? No. This will be Coda getting run down by Fook, who's on the right side of the map and uses the power of that semi-global.
Really trying to salvage the top lane matchup as much as possible, but the Nocturne has been the benefactor of all of the damage just as much as humanly possible here for Fook 1, which is...
Oh, under the tower they go! Lovely! Gorgeous. Lovely stuff out of CBL, gathering them up, allowing the Moonlight Vigil and the Killer Queen damage to come in. Perfect bot lane dive.
Now, see, the thing is about this composition, because I've talked about, I'm in full support of the top side attack coming out from Cerberus. But the thing is, if you're bleeding this much on the other side of the map, you're going to have problems no matter what the situation is going to be. So yes, your Nocturne and your Camille now are feeling great. The side laning that's going to come in from Camille is going to feel wonderful as well. The Nocturne is incredibly powerful. Blazes is going to flee. Ooh, yeah, they should be in pretty easily. Oh,
there's a Twisted Fate coming in. Poss needs to be very careful. He has no mana, but he gets that adaptive defenses, and now they turn it around. They do get a kill back onto the Fiora, but it's not worth it.
No, not at all. The defense here actually needed to go towards Fook, because Fook is the one with all the kills and all the shutdown gold, which is what Luxury should have been aiming for. But Fook was incredibly healthy compared to Poss during the course of the beginning of this fight, and that meant that Coded, of course, like when you're trying to figure out who to actually target, when Blazes is trying to figure out who to target, they go after the one with the low health, but that's not the right target, because you need more gold in that situation, especially for how much they had to put into just bringing down Poss. It was massively problematic for the play. So not only the top tower, now 2 more kills actually thrown into Cerberus's top side. And again, I was just about to say, Luxury's doing good enough on the other side of the map that I feel like this just hasn't been worth it. But right here, a bit of an overstep from the combination of players here.
Yeah, and it was just good CC layering coming out of Cerberus. Poss bought so much time before he actually went down to allow Fook and Yado to get the job done. So in the end, it's a big win for them. But the gold is dead even because, of course, it was traded for that bot lane dive that we saw moments ago. Now you have to start asking the question of, can a fed Nocturne, can a strong Camille actually hold off an Aphelios with a big lead over the Jinx?
It's a great question as to what kind of teamfight effects this is going to have if dragons start to become the focus of Cerberus, which I think needs to happen, because otherwise, if Luxury is just pulling dragons, they don't have to teamfight at all. They can wait for their Aphelios and for their Victor to really get into the game, and then at that point, again, the damage from the Nocturne is just going to fall completely off a cliff. And so what I'm waiting for here is, how are you actually going to be able to leverage the Nocturne's aggression and the ultimate into being able to attack bottom side? I feel like at some point also, he and Yado, the combination of Fook 1 and Yado, that is, could just start attacking Aphelios bottom side rampantly. Like, there's nothing stopping them from just ulting to bottom lane and going after the Aphelios now while the iron is hot here.
Yeah. Killer Queen meeting up with Fook and Yado in the river. We'll ward them off. Blazes, this strong Victor already has that Everfrost. They don't want to push into that. Of course, something we didn't talk about, we did see it happening on camera, was that dragon going over to Luxury as well. So they are sitting pretty at the moment. This is already a much closer game than game 1.
Absolutely. And a bigger part of this also is that there's a pretty significant scaling difference because, once again, it's a Nocturne and a Twisted Fate that have kind of been factors, as well as the Camille in the early side of the game, versus the Aphelios and the Victor that have actually been doing rather well. This is where you want your gold if you're Luxury. It's a question of how fast they can actually use it in a game like this to take wins. Ultimate. Oh, okay. I thought they were going to get very aggressive here on the side of Luxury, and the Ultimate almost certainly would have been popped to buy Hugh immediately, which would have thwarted that very heavily. It probably would have been disastrous. So glad they spotted that one out before anything too crazy.
Ooh, hang on. He's still here. Still not a lot of mobility on the Renata and the Jinx. Thankfully, they are able to back off in time, and the wave is going to shove towards them.
Nothing too crazy. It's Luxury who's defending bottom lane as much as possible. I know Killer Queen has to be thinking the same thing that I am, where it's like, okay, Nocturne's got 4 kills, and you want to put aggression into Vit as much as possible. Shut down the Aphelios, shut down Blazes to the best of your abilities. Yeah.
Hang on, there's a rare thing in Vietnam. Vietnam, of course, a tropical nation. But I think there's a bit of a freeze coming on. I think Putin is actually manipulating a wave state. There's a freeze!
Oh my goodness. Okay, wait. Actually...
Now, back up again. Cerberus really showing that they don't like the French. Good riposte coming out, but he can't block both. The Everfrost will get him down. The Hextech Ultimatum comes out as well. And Fiora will be sent back to the baguette store. Nocturne Ultimate.
Yeah.
Just cuts off vision. I don't think he's actually going to go anywhere.
Nope. I think just trying to move into the top river without being spotted by anybody, just to the best of his abilities, Fuquan able to actually to accomplish that. And I like that you pointed out the freeze on the bottom side, because the top half is where all the aggression is coming through. And so any amount that Putin is able to deny from the bottom lane is very, very advantageous, because it's a CS that you're just not getting back if you're Vit. And you're trying to slow down the pacing on this bottom side, because again, between the Twisted Fate and the Nocturne, you've got so much ability to affect the map, so much ability inside of a kind of early to mid game team fighting setups, that you have a very good chance around second Rift Herald, second, third Dragon, that type of area, to really make a meaningful difference over the sway of this game, which is what we're waiting for now from Cerberus to actually be able to accomplish, especially because Vid is about to pick up second tower of the game, solo tower gold here into him. The Aphelios feeling incredibly powerful after this early game.
And this is a very obvious dynamic that is being sorted out. We have a situation where there is an extremely powerful Aphelios on the other side, on one side of the map, and there's a very, very strong top side on the other side. Who actually comes out on top here when you're considering the fact that Fiora probably can't play the game?
Early, it's definitely got to go to the side of Cerberus. Later game, I think it depends a lot more on how these ultimates actually get utilized, because setting up a proper angle for Twisted Fate, setting up a proper angle for Nocturne, and more importantly, actually, the hostile takeover from Renata can do some very filthy things to the entirety of the team here from Luxury. If Vit happens to be the one that gets tagged up in it, all of a sudden he's the one ripping through the entire enemy team, as opposed to them having to do any of the work themselves, which is one fear of having a very strong ADC into a Renata, is that unfortunately they kind of run you down with Red Gun on their own.
Yeah, there's the ultimates coming out. They need to make something happen off this. Can't just use them. In they go. The dive is good.
Wow,
and bang,
there it is.
Blazes is taken down. Immediately, he contributes nothing to this fight. Luxury just have to flash over the wall. Cerberus don't choose to follow, but with the anemic health bars, this should be a dragon for them.
It's an incredible fight setup. Every ultimate used to a plum to be able to get into backline. Unfortunately, they didn't have the damage burst to actually rip through everybody's health bars, because they dropped 3 people to like 20-30% health, and that was about all they were able to accomplish. They are very close to that being basically 4 or even 5 kills into their back pocket, while simultaneously getting the dragon, which is that's just so much that you're able to fit into the wallet right there. That's a really tough thing to come back from, even with a powerful Aphelios.
Yeah, no question. As they break open this mid tower, that gives them run of the map as well. Cerberus has been doing a fantastic job, but let's look at this fight.
Yeah, it started with Fuquan going into Blazes more than anything. Yeah, the Renata ult was gorgeous in the midst of everything, which is why I was so surprised that the damage didn't actually come through, because I was like, okay, they were all locked up there in a couple of seconds with free fire and capabilities. The one kind of knock I had on them there again was I thought that the Nocturne ultimate was going to be dropped into the Aphelios. Maybe the fear was that Vit was going to be able to flash out the back of the fight and take Nocturne away from everybody else, so instead he goes on to Blazes. But I feel as though if you go onto Aphelios instead, you get further back. All of a sudden, the damage into the backline is a little bit better from the Nocturne. Nocturne instead of just bursting out the one Victor on the front line. Maybe that makes some difference. Maybe it means that they don't end up killing the Aphelios, and that's a problem.
In they go. Once again, onto the Fiora. Good flash there to try and buy some space. Now they've been under the tower for a little bit too long as the Grand Challenge came out. I think Coded will survive this attempt. Well played. Oh, no, never mind. Poss still wants him, but look at him go. This is really excellent Fiora play coming out of Coded despite the score. The handshake will finally catch on to him, but can they actually kill him? No, the riposte is perfectly timed to block the rocket. Coded has absolutely smurfed.
There are 3 of you here, and yet none of you are able to get the kill onto Coded. I think the first riposte is what really did it, because you denied the amount of CC and kind of the initial burst from the Nocturne coming through, while also dodging out on the first hook shot underneath the tower that might have set them up for the chain CC that really did all the damage. Yeah, Coded, masterclass on the Fiora riposte right there, being able to dodge out on just about everything. And again, early game advantage coming through from Cerberus, where they're trying to use a bunch of the gold on some of these semi-globals, but they're even in gold right now. The more that the time ticks forward inside of a game like this, the easier time that Luxury might have when all of their carries are kind of on the gold that they absolutely need to win out.
Yeah, I mean, as this goes on and on and on, it's going to be harder and harder for them to actually get onto Vit. And kill him. Right now, it's hard for him to operate in fights. Even with the Gale Force, you still have a big Camille and a big Nocturne jumping onto you. It's hard to do anything, but 2, 3, 4 items begin coming in. If there's a red-white gun, this Aphelios becomes immortal.
Also imagine if actually, into Blazes.
They immediately jump in. The Golden will buy a lot of time, but the gas over the wall locks onto 4. That is a huge hostile takeover, but they turn it around now with a Moonlight Vigil. Killer Queen will finally go down. Shutdown is taken out, but Yado will be the second to fall. Poss needs to find himself a kill. He does it as he manages to buy himself a little bit more life. 2 for 2 in this skirmish in the jungle.
Goodness gracious. The fights are very, very vicious between the two of these teams. You can see the damage from Luxury actually lasted long enough to really make that a precarious ending to the fight coming out from the side of Cerberus. Mostly because Pudding was alive and very high health, able to put rockets over the wall, was expecting a lot more from him, but the fight ended up kind of kiting back away from the position where Pudding was able to throw in damage over the rest of the wall. So good use of terrain right there from Luxury. As you can see, they controlled everything. Blazes was able to stall out this engagement really well. Then Fug1 blocking the kick was huge. And everybody in this little choke I thought was going to be really heavily the death of the side of Luxury, but enough members are able to stall. Enough members were able to put in damage to the members that just keep going in over and over again, that you can find quite a bit of action. But again, Puddin super close to being able to take over a fight. 1 or 2 crit rockets out from getting excited again and maybe be able to run down the last couple of members. And that's recovery from the beginning of the game that the Jinx really fell victim to the Aphelios to. Now starting to feel a little bit better inside this one.
Yeah, very, very true. But with 2 items now on the Nocturne, the Stridebreaker and the Randuins, I really like this decision to bring out this defensive build, but he just goes immediately in to try and prove my point onto the Aphelios, but it's good gatekeeping by the Rakan to try and stop him, but there's the rocket to confirm the kill. Now they rush on forward. Fook goes into the bailout. It's not going to be enough to get him to kill. Now Poss will be the next target to go down. On the other side, the gas now being used. Blazes is killing his team, and they continue on to it as he is stunned up. It's only Killer Queen left alive. They see where he is. They have the twist of fate.
Oh, no. Tragedy. Strikes. Yano could have caught him with that Hextech Gate if he had actually known that he was going to use it, but just must not have thought about it. And so Killer Queen is able to get out relatively freely, but it's another one fight from Cerberus where it's a dive from Fug1, diving from Poss to be able to put pressure into the backline. And this time Vit falls very early and they lose a bunch of their damage. Even though Vit falls very early in the fight, they still have a very good kind of comeback because Blazes and even Coded, who's down so many kills, really isn't that far behind in terms of gold. And so when you're looking at damage in this one, it just wasn't enough to actually bring him down. Red-White also kept the Aphelios alive for much longer than probably should be. Watch Puddin in the fight as well, because you can see him tracking through this one with rockets, able to switch targets a couple times. First on a Killer Queen who flashes out of his range and into the face of Blaze, then switches back to Coded, has to flash out the back of the fight, but is playing this really exceptionally well on the Jinx to be able to put damage into all of the members that you really need the damage to be put onto.
Poss in a little bit of trouble as he's being borne down on by 3. The Grand Challenge has come out, but Cerberus have answered as they bring in the team. The lights going out there was so valuable. We see the absolute ridiculous power of this Nocturnal.
Yeah, we love the Nocturne ultimate here. And not only the semi-global, the ability to affect vision of the enemy team, the ability to dive into the backline effectively with just one ability as well. It's just so valuable in a number of situations, which is why the Nocturne really has started to rise in priority. When it has the ability to counter some of these kind of AD junglers and things of the sort, you can see the value that it brings in other walks of life as well, which is kind of cool to see.
Ooh, a lockout there onto Fook. Has to burn the flash as Yado buying him space with the gold card as well, but Blaze is doing so much damage. Poss is just going to jump in. They're going to try and blow Coded up, but he is absolutely smurfing on them as they've managed to pick up 1 kill each, but Fook is going to go down. Never mind. Oh, no, he just about does. Killer Queen managing to do the damage. Out comes another.
No!
Actually lock onto anyone. No, they can't. It's not good enough. Into the backside goes the Twisted Fate, but Yado can't confirm the kill. Triple for Killer Queen, and they're onto Baron.
In the midst of everything, I really thought that Putin was going to be able to take over the fight. I thought he was going to be able to kill Blazes, get excited, and all of a sudden go crazy. But I want to point out, I think if we get a replay of that, I'll get to show the chance. Huber's ultimate was angled just a little bit incorrectly. It missed 2 people that could have completely changed the way that turned out. But instead, Killer Queen kind of gets to run rampant in the back line of the fight. Nobody touched Vit for the most part. I was just, I think, the one rocket volley that came through. And now all of a sudden, Luxury, they walk away with the Baron buff. They walk away with the or with a massive fight in their back pocket. And this is the team that's got a bunch of scaling behind them. This is the team that we're terrified of actually being able to do things. And now, in the midst of the replay, again, I want you to watch 2 people, Pudding and Hugh, over the course of this one, because you have multiple divers that are kind of poking in again and again, and just watch Pudding's damage, because he starts on Decoded, then he kind of shifts over to the right side of the fight, goes into Blazes. Look how much he puts into Blazes with just the rockets to be able to do this. And right here, Hugh's ultimate, look where it goes. It goes straight instead of off to the left corridor, where all 3 of them could have been auto-attacking over it. All 3 of them could have been locked into the animation that lets Pudding actually throw rockets into them. Kind of a miscalculation, to be quite honest, because I think that would have completely swayed that fight in a different direction.
Yeah, it's so close. A game of inches here on Summoner's Rift, but it has favored Luxury as they are now wearing the purple. They have the Baron buff, and Cerberus have to find a way to keep them contained.
The only way that you have a late game fight in your advantage like this is with a Jinx, right? Like, Jinx has to be the massive difference maker. You've got all this CC, you've got all this dive potential, but for the most part, it's about getting Jinx to move forward. There is. Coded is actually kind of ripping through top towers like now. You do see the back coming through from Coded. That does take away a little bit of the power from this team. There's still 2 massive carries, so contest is here.
And now he's teleporting. There's a double TP. That's actually really smart. I like this because I think they were going to try and force a fight in the 4v5, but they can't do it with Coded using the TP as well. Good stuff there by the Luxury top laner.
Yeah, well played on both sides, actually. And the inhibitor doesn't go down, so this is still an advantageous push coming out from Luxury, which is humongous. Also to set up future dragons. Ultimate from Twisted Fate, I think, just to get the idea of where their retreat was going to go. Yeah, nothing too crazy about this one. Dragon is just the setup that you have to imagine they want to go for here if they can't get any additional towers, because the bottom inhibitor, the mid lane inner tower here, should fall all to the pressure from Luxury. The biggest thing is that they can get the dragon count evened up as well. Ultimate from the Nocturne.
Nocturne, it looks like they want to dive in. If they go, they're lined up. Can they get the Renata gas across them? They can. It hits all of them, but can they actually convert the damage? CBL will be the first one to go. There's 2. Blaze is down as well, and this is Cerberus looking absolutely wonderful as they charge on forward. Yado with the flash gold card into the Everfrost. The rocket deals the damage, and they pick up 3 kills, all out of perfectly executed Renata play.
And this is it's a problem with Luxury's composition that I talked about before we started, which is that they have no front line and their engagement is like Rakan, which is good. You have to counter dive really heavily into a team like this with all this kind of ways to prevent you from doing so. And so the benefit of having a Jinx into a composition like this is that while you are down damage, you have space to be able to carve out for your Jinx to walk forward in a fight between all 3 of the members that are always forward in a fight between the Renata ultimate. And it's allowing for Pudding to take this really aggressive positioning inside of a lot of these situations where Luxury and Cerberus are finding themselves in 5-on-5s, and it's opening up all of this amount of kind of damage for Pudding to drop into a fight that just cannot be matched by Vit and CBL into the right member. And you can see it on full display here. Not only the good dive from Fook 1, which started things off gorgeously for this team, but the Renata ultimate as well. Look at Pudding the whole time in the backline, just tossing rockets into the members of Luxury.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfect stuff there by Cerberus. They don't lose a single member Oh, they do lose one. I tell a lie. They did lose their Nocturne, my mistake. But they only lose the one. That is still executed, still very, very well done. You come back out. They are now on Soul Point. 2 minutes on Baron, 4 minutes on a Hextech Soul.
And the only gold we really care about here from the side of Cerberus at this point in the game, after everything else is considered, is the gold on Puddin and how many items that he's got, because the Jinx has been buying so much space. He has to be able to win the team fight before the turnaround comes through from Luxury, where all of a sudden the Victor starts going crazy, Coded starts going crazy, before that scaling really hits, and all of a sudden the frontliners are getting ripped apart before they have a chance to buy Puddin this space, right? The Hextech Drake, that's potentially the Soul Point that's going to be coming up in 5 minutes, is big, because this is the time where Luxury, I think, is going to be looking towards this fight, looking towards these item breakpoints that are going to cause that, and Cerberus is going to have to fight once again and find another situation for Pudding, which has been good for them so far, but it's a question of how long are they going to be able to continue doing this before Luxury can prevent that, before Luxury starts winning the frontline fight, and all of a sudden there's no space.
Once again, they pull the trigger. They try and get it engaged. The fear is down, but they haven't gotten on to the important levels. It's another amazing Renata ult, but perhaps not good enough as Vit is full health. They've picked up this first kill, but they've got 2 members deep in the back line. Vit is caught. Vit goes down, and this is Cerberus once again winning a fight. Fook will once again be the one to pay with his life, but if they can keep getting on top of the Aphelios, even if it looks dicey, it's good enough.
And
one goes... Can we say... I want to put this in.
Go ahead.
This is the best Renata I've seen ever of any league.
Yeah, Renata has been incredible. Outside of that one ultimate, which I will give critique over to the side of Huber, this has definitely been one of the best. Huber's an enchanter player through and through. We knew that was the case. He used to be the pocket for Ron OP for exactly that purpose, and this champion does exactly that. And it's one of the best, if not the best, counter-engaged champion inside of the game, and you're seeing that on display. He's done it again and again inside of fights alongside the rest of Cerberus. And in a fight like that ultimate just buys so much time that the front line doesn't have to soak that much, because they don't have true tanks either, right? Like, you've got a Nocturne, and you've got a couple of other divers that are going into the back line. Look at the position of Pudding. He has to work through CBL. How long does it take them to kill someone on the front line? They only just now are bringing down the Guardian Angel of Pos, between everything else going down. They hadn't actually killed anybody, and Puddin gets 2 kills in the midst of all of this, which is kind of crazy to me that they don't have a full true tank, and yet it still takes them so long they buy space. Now, Baron buff, like you said.
Yeah, they are making an attempt onto Baron. That was a fishy Renata ult. They are using everything here. Cerberus, calm down. Great Everfrost to hold them back, but Baron still only on 3k health. We need to see Fook finding a way into the pit. No flash, no ult. It's really hard for him to get in there. This should just be a Baron secured here for Luxury, but can Cerberus win the fight? As Puddin is running forward, has the attack speed from the bailout on top of him, but it hasn't been enough to actually secure a kill. And Cerberus, that was shocking.
I have no clue what the thought process was there. The immediate part was great, right? Like, the Nocturne ultimate, gorgeous, right? But as soon as Hugh's ultimate is burnt, that's a lost fight. You don't take that. You can't take it, and you can't burst down the Baron because it's only at 7,000 health. I think they thought the Baron was further along than it was, and they got caught in this position where it's like they can't quite execute the Baron, and they can't take a team fight anymore, so they tried to salvage it the best they could, and nothing is able to work out. A huge play from Luxury that could net them a dragon or two in their back pocket so that the Hextech Soul doesn't actually win the game here.
This is such a strange decision. I just don't understand. Like, look at Yardo's ult as well.
It's just, it feels disastrous across the board. Like I said, it feels like they got really, really scatterbrained immediately as soon as the Baron buff was called, and they got so amped for the possibility of being able to just kind of win the game off the back of this. Because again, if you win 3 members, 4 members, and you end up getting the Baron off the back of it, that's a lost game. Like, Luxury just loses, and it's immediately a 2-0 from Cerberus. And it feels like they were so focused on the kill shot being both of those objectives at one time, they kind of lost focus on the fact that they had to actually win the fight in order to do so. So they get neither the Baron nor the fight win. The Dragon is still the primary focus here from Luxury to shut out, though, which is the one good thing, is it's going to burn a bit of the Baron buff timer off, because they have to make sure that they're set up for the Dragon fight.
Yeah, they do, but they still have to fight into those extra Baron stats, and here they go. The Twisted Fate and the Nocturne. Can they actually solo anyone out? They can't. A handshake is decent. Yardo tries to go back in, but Killer Queen wards him off. They're grouped up again for a Renata ult, but it only hits one this time. This allows Vit to thrive in the fight, and now Luxury are chasing forward. They can't actually lock down the kills, but with Pos going down, their health bar's full. They will continue to chase. Huber desperately running away with the bailout. Luxury win the fight. They'll get the Dragon.
The problem that time is that Fook 1 and Poss went in at different times. Fook 1 went in at the beginning of the fight because they were trying to catch 2. That defense was there from Luxury, and they prevented them from actually winning things out. And then, of course, Poss goes into the front line, and there's no one alongside him. There's no Twisted Fate, and there's no Nocturne. And so it's a lot harder to actually manage. It looked like another one of those setups that actually looked good for Cerberus, but again, they couldn't quite get all of their pieces connected at the same time. And it meant that Puddin didn't have the space to walk forward in that fight, and ended up having to retreat really heavily. And yes, mid inhibitor goes down, bottom inhibitor is still exposed if they want to run after that one. But most importantly, they're denying the soul point as well, which to me is the one remaining point on the map that Cerberus could go for. It increases their scaling, increases their team fighting potency, and it's really the last thing that they need in their last notch, I suppose, they need in their belt in order to really take a true stance in this game to be able to take an advantage over top of Luxury. And they're not giving it over. Instead, Luxury continues to scale, continues to get more damage to bring down these divers, whether it's Fook 1, Poss, or Yato, as they go in and take away the space that Pudding is supposed to deserve.
But there is one thing I really want to bring up, and this is ADC matchup, because in lane, it was all Vit. He was dominating the lane. They were playing into him. They were diving the bot lane tower, as we've already talked a lot about this, so I'll come back to it after.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, no, I'll keep talking, man.
Yeah, keep going.
We have the Jinx that has gone for a full damage build. This is, he's gone the IE third. Aphelios has diverted for the Bloodthirster, which I think is correct, don't get me wrong, but it means that we have Puddin in a position to be a late game hyper carry now. He is a 3-item Jinx. Aphelios, to hit the same amount of damage, needs a little bit more time to make up for that defensive decision. This is such a close game. 2k gold at this point in the game. Who cares? We are 33 minutes deep. This is a banger. This is incredibly close.
The Lord Doms is done now also for Puddin, so all of a sudden all these members that have armor or have health in front of him are going to get shredded through even more. Really and truly, again, Cerberus, to continue harping on it, is just about buying space for this champion to walk forward inside of fights. And to think this is Puddin. This isn't Artemis. If they were running with this Artemis, no one would expect anything different. Here's the fight right here, right now.
Yeah, they're going to go in. The Everfrost misses coming out. Yato, he's in the middle of the enemy team, has a gold card locked and loaded. There's Renata Rock going across the team. They shut down Vit. That is absolutely massive. This should allow them to win the fight as they are picking up everything. Fook has gone down, but he'll be the only one falling for Cerberus. And here we go. They picked up 4 Killer Queen, the only man left standing. And Cerberus find the fight.
Oh, this is right. Okay, never mind. Poss is actually backing right here and right now. Okay, so this is a pushing power from Puddin. Should be able to grab the top inhibitor, which is extremely helpful. And Killer Queen hasn't quite left yet. Ultimate's coming through. They're gonna catch him! No way! Okay.
They put
Can
him
Poss actually kill him?
Yeah, Poss can kill him.
Okay, Poss,
or at least delay the back.
Him.
He doesn't even have to kill him. He just has
to
stop him going back to base.
They have 15 seconds and they have a wave. They might be able to at least crack a Nexus tower. Poss just has to prevent Killer Queen from going back. They might just full commit for this because they have the members for it. Terex, they might go for an end!
They're going for an end, Rebel. Here we go. Puddin sieging down onto the tower. The Nexus is the only thing left standing. There is no way to stop them. Cerberus want the 2-0. Cerberus have locked in playoffs. FDTC are crushed at home as Cerberus reign triumphant.